Greetings. So I just wanted to put a couple of videos together for you and share my screen with you so that you can get a better feel or understanding for some of what we're doing in the class, and particularly if it's confusing. Sometimes online courses can be a little more difficult to understand. We're not necessarily in a cohort in the classroom discussing it with each other, really kind of wrapping our minds around the concepts and doing that, in 4 hours every week in dialogue and discussion with the instructor and the other students that we're learning from. And so it can make it difficult. I'm going to put together just some short, informal presentations on these videos so that if you are really wanting to have a better understanding of some of these key concepts, that I'm able to hopefully articulate that to you in a way that makes sense and helps you through each of these weeks and the templates, and then helps you to get successfully through the 6 weeks. But most importantly, to really walk away from this course with having learned something new. And that's really important. So if these videos don't pertain to you, or you don't feel like you need to watch them or want to watch them, then of course you don't have to. But I hope that if you find them helpful, it'll help you in your journey through the course. As at the very beginning, as you're going through this course, I think sometimes it helps to just come back to this project management 10 knowledge areas chart. The reason that I say that is because it helps you keep an eye on holistically, overall, in 6 weeks, what is it that we're really doing? And what we're really doing is we're learning concepts. We're learning about these project management knowledge areas so that we can take a project from beginning to end. And if we apply these knowledge areas to our project, both in the planning stages, in initiating it and then getting it off the ground and running it, executing it, and then closing it, that we can do it in a successful way so that we can come in on budget, on time. And so understanding as a whole that we're really in these templates working through one of these knowledge areas each week, or 2 or 3 of them each week, and we're filling out the template so that we understand how to work with each of these concepts in our project. So where you started in week 2 with your templates is in this stakeholder analysis and integration area. So you learned all about how to analyze your stakeholders, and you also learned how to initiate a project proposal. And if the proposal is approved, how to send out a charter to get everyone's cooperation, or to at least attempt to gain it. Now what you're going to start getting into in the next week, and this does not necessarily go in order, is you're going to start looking at what are the risks that are involved in this project, and thinking about what the risks are that are going to be coming up. And then we're going to create a scope where it says, this is the scope kind of from beginning to end of what my project looks like. Next week, we'll start getting into time. What does our schedule look like? What does the project schedule look like from beginning to end? And we're going to take this scope and we're going to put it into a time frame, into a way that you'll be able to evaluate how long each of those steps will take you. And then we'll look at costs, we'll look at quality, we'll look at HR as far as who are the people that we want on our team, on the project team, how are we going to communicate with them? And so as you go through these 6 weeks, you will have at the end a holistic understanding of all of these project management areas so that you can apply them to your projects and be far more successful. So I think that keeping in mind that this is here for you gives you an opportunity to kind of see this class from a 30,000 foot view. And then what we do each week is we give you a title on your week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. And we tell you what it is that we're really doing. So in week 1, we were really just introducing project management to you and exploring it. What is project management? How do we differentiate a project from a task? And so, we welcomed you to the course. You started reading about the fundamentals of project management and what are the basics. Then in week 2, we started initiating and defining projects, okay? And by initiating them and defining them, you know, what we really started doing in our templates, and right now in this video I'm just focusing on templates, is we walked through the project initiation and also stakeholder management, and then, you know, kicking it off with a charter. And so we started initiating and defining what our project is going to be and how we're going to get it off the ground. And so that's really what you were doing in week 2. As you get into week 3, you're planning now. And by planning, that means that these templates, you're starting to evaluate the risks of your project, thinking about all of the risks ahead of time before they happen. What are some of the triggers going to be? What are some of the conditions that are going to be? And what, most importantly, is our response going to be to that risk? And we really start planning the project by creating a scope. And I'll do a separate video that will go more in depth on these 2 templates for week 3 that you're now currently working on. So that way, if you feel you have anything that you want to change or anything that maybe has brought you more clarity and you want to clarify it in your scope or your risk management template, then you have time to do that. As we go into week 4, I'm just going to give you a holistic overview. We are going to continue to plan the project. And in continuing to plan, we're going to be working on time, which is our schedule of the project. The very beginning start date all the way through every step of our project to the very end date. And then we're going to talk a little bit about procurement and cost. These can be 2 confusing concepts, and so we will do a video on that as well. But basically, an overview is how are we going to procure what we need as far as costs, our budget, etc. How are we going to procure any tangible assets that we need for our project? And evaluating what the cost of all of those, whether it's labor, you know, external costs, equipment costs, etc. What are those costs going to be? And so we're really planning everything out from beginning to end. Then when we get into week 5, now we get into the stages where we're saying, okay, we're ready to begin day 1 of the project. We're now executing this project. We're literally kicking it off. And as the project continues, we are going to monitor the project and we are going to control the project. And in doing that, we'll be able to keep an eye on everything and make sure everything is flowing properly. How do we do that? Well, we do it by making sure we have the right people, the right talent on the team. We make sure that we are ongoingly throughout the project communicating, and we have a plan on how we're going to communicate with all of the team members. And then we have quality. And again, we will kind of do a little video sharing the screen with you, and we'll go through these templates so that you have a good idea of what they involve. Then when we get to week 6, we hit closing and applying project management. Closing is one of the most important things. Have you ever had a project where you feel like this is really dragging on and it never ended, but it never quite was successful either? And of course, being able to apply these knowledge areas will help, but we also have to officially and formally close out our project. And so what you do in week 6 is you fill out a project closeout assessment report. We now look back and analyze how successful was it? What were some obstacles that we ran into? What things could we do differently in the future? And so it gives you an opportunity to kind of assess. The reason that you're uploading 12 templates is because now that you've received feedback each week, you can go back if you need to or want to, and you can revise some items in your template so that they're a little more accurate as to what should be in those templates. And then, you know, and maybe there was no changes at all. Maybe just encouragement that you're absolutely on the right track. Or maybe just some suggestions of things that you could work on, either to help, you know, the readability of the template or the sequence of your items, etc. And then you're just going to upload them all as a final project with your project closeout. So that gives you the 11 templates you filled out prior to this, and then the 12th one, which is your closeout. So before I go into any of the templates for each week, I'm just going to end this video now so that you have an opportunity to either continue or to not continue as we go into the definitions of each of these PM tools. I hope that you find it helpful and that it makes a difference in the information that you're taking from this course.